حضورنا الكريم، جلستنا القادمة ستكون باللغة الإنجليزية. Our coming session will be in English. من خلال عملها المتميز حققت هذه المدارس الرائدة تأثيراً إيجابياً طويل الأمد على حياة طلبتها ومجتمعاتهم. دعونا نستقي من خبرات المدارس التي أدرجت في قائمة جوائز أفضل مدرسة في العالم، والتي تدار من قبل مؤسسة T4 في مجال الابتكار، لننهل من خبراتهم. أدعوكم لحضور حفل إعلان هذه الجوائز والذي أقيم الأسبوع الماضي، وذلك من خلال الرابط الذي يظهر في صندوق المحادثة. سيدير الجلسة الأستاذ فيكاس بوتا من مؤسسة T4 المملكة المتحدة، وهو عضو من أعضاء المجلس الاستشاري للأكاديمية، وعنوان الجلسة لنتعلم من أفضل المدارس في العالم.
Dear students, thank you for not only highlighting your needs and challenges, but also for suggesting interesting solutions. Thank you, Janine, for moderating, and thank you, Muhammad, Muad, Afra, and Shog for being with us today. Dear attendees, our next session will be in English. Through their outstanding work, these trailblazing schools have achieved a positive, long-lasting impact on the lives of their students and their wider communities. Let's learn from the schools that have been shortlisted for the world's best school prizes in the field of innovation by T4. We invite you to attend the celebration that took place last week. Please check the link in the chat box. This session will be moderated by Mr. Vikas Pota, T4 Education founder from the UK, who is also a member of QRTA Advisory Board. Welcome, Mr. Vikas.
Thank you, and many congratulations to you all for this forum. I'm a huge fan of QRTA, and what you do, it really matters. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I also want to start off by greeting everyone here. Happy Diwali. It is the most auspicious day in our Hindu calendar, and I wish you all the very best. You know, by way of introduction, my name is Vikas. I set up T4, and one of the biggest things that I've thought about actually since I've done so is the primacy and importance of institution building. And by that I mean, like, you know, in education, the most obvious institution is that of school. It has been known for far too long that our schools are severely challenged, not just in the backdrop of various contexts and differences that exist, but actually what COVID has done is reinforce this need to have strong schools. And you will all be aware, as keen watchers and practitioners in education, that there's a whole body of evidence and research that goes behind the science of school improvement. And yet we put a statistic, a data point out there which said that something like 500 million children today are in failing schools somewhere around the world. And these are official government kind of figures that have been aggregated to come to this number. And in a human population of something like 7 billion, 500 million is just way too much. It's ridiculous, actually, when you think about it. And so given that the state of schools could be improved and should be improved, what is it that we can learn from schools that are actually trailblazing, as you rightly mentioned at the beginning? And so we created a prize to think about 5 different school improvement strategies, inevitably interlinked, and we gave it a grand name called the World's Best School Prizes. You know, so when people think about the world's best, they often think about academic achievement and academic results. But here, what we're talking about are the softer connective tissue that actually makes strong schools. And we know that whether you are a private school, a public school, an NGO school, a religious school, doesn't really matter, because this is the cultural fabric that we need to understand and act on to make sure that we have much stronger schools. So in that regard, we have 5 categories. And today I'm really delighted that 3 of our finalists from the innovation category join us for this particular panel session for the QRTA forum. I know all 3 of them. I know all 3 schools quite well. But without further ado, what I do want to do is for each one of you to introduce yourselves first and speak a little bit about your schools, and then we will come back to a much more fulsome discussion. And so can I give you a guidance of, say, maybe 2-3 minutes to just take a step, introduce yourself, introduce to your school, the context, and then after that, we'll go into the innovations. So keep it brief. For now, just the top level stuff. I'm going to go to my friend Abhilasha first. Abhilasha in the UAE from the Shining Star School. Welcome, Abhilasha.
Thank you so much, Vikas. Happy Diwali to you. Happy Diwali to all our audience who's joined us from different parts of the world. And thank you so much to Queen Rania's Teachers Academy for inviting me as a panelist. Thank you, Vikas. This has happened because of you, and I remain grateful. At the same time, I also am very privileged and feel honored to be here today. I'm Abhilasha Singh. I'm from India, and I'm working in UAE, leading a K-12 Indian curriculum school, Shining Star International School. We serve the expat community in our neighborhood. Our school is a 1900 students strong, and we are a very cohesive community. I am a T4 country ambassador. I am also a very proud Climate Action Project country ambassador. I am very passionate about advocacy and activism for SDGs. And I am again very passionate about Model UN and training students to prepare for Model UN, which I find is a brilliant platform. I'm a sports enthusiast and I'm a marathon runner. And I'm at the moment training to run ADNOC 2022, which happens on 17th of December. Thank you so much, Vikas. That's short and sweet.
Fantastic.
And back to you.
We often refer to Abhilasha and her colleagues as the Shining Star Mafia, because there's so many of them who always get behind all our work, which we're obviously very grateful to you for. Thank you so much, Abhilasha. I want to go to the country nearest to the UAE then, India. Urmila, please unmute yourself and speak about your school and your work, actually, without going too much into the innovation. 2 minutes from you.
Yeah, so hi Vikas. Urmila ma'am mentioned like she can't join in because she's out somewhere. So I'm joining from her school. And hi guys, I'm Ritu. And thank you for providing this platform and opportunity to share and transfer knowledge and share the exemplary practices. So my journey with people started some 5 years ago. And I started teaching at the exemplar school, MCD Lajpat Nagar 3, the school that we're talking about. So I was a teacher in that school for 3 years. And about 2 years ago, I joined the Madhya Pradesh team, which is another state in India. So now that knowledge transfer is happening also interstate in India. So now we've codified the best practices that were happening at the Lajpat Nagar school, and we drafted some SOPs, standard operating procedures, and we made a handbook. And now those practices are also being implemented in some 275 schools in Madhya Pradesh. So now I'm part of the Madhya Pradesh team.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Glenn, please unmute yourself.
Hello, good afternoon from London, Vikas.
From the same neighborhood.
Absolutely, yeah, just nearby. And it's so lovely being with you all here at the QRTA conference to be hosted by you. So thank you so much for giving us a chance to share our ideas here from St. Helen's School in Northwood. And it's also been wonderful to be part of the T4 community as well. St. Helen's School is an independent school for girls in London. It's one of the leading schools in the country. It's a selective school, and we really aim to the top in terms of our academics. And also we are privileged to have wonderful facilities and wonderful grounds where we can offer the girls really a holistic experience, not just in terms of the academic endeavors, but also in terms of the pastoral care that we offer and also co-curricular activities. We aim that our students should become the leaders of tomorrow. And because it is a girls' school, we believe we also have an ethical mission in supporting girls' education, not just here in the UK, but also sharing with partner schools in order to support girls' education throughout the world. So I look forward to sharing our ideas and what we've managed to do at St. Helen's over the last few years.
Thank you so much, Glenn. And so, Ritu it is, right? And so yours is in the public sector. So you are not a private school, unlike Shining Star or St. Helen's Girls' School. Can you tell us more about your innovation? Because and tell us about, who is the typical enrollee into your school and what is their background and what makes your innovation so interesting that other people those that are watching here today can actually learn from what you do to make sure that theirs becomes a strong school.
Sure. So to begin with, I'll tell you, most of the students that come to our school are first-generation learners. So they're children of immigrants who have immigrated to Delhi, the capital city, from far-off villages all across the country. So there are language barriers because a lot of students that come to our school don't speak either Hindi or English. And we teach in English medium. The parents they do minimum wage labor. to support the families here in the city. So that is the kind of demography that we cater to. So the general ideology is that these kind of parents don't know the value of the education the children receive at schools. And it was very difficult to get them engaged and invested in the kind of interventions that we were doing at school. So we started with very basic steps like conducting a parent orientation at the beginning of the academic year. So when you conduct a parent orientation, you also convey the expectations and the kind of expectations we have from parents. So we tell them what are the things that we as a school will offer the children, but also the kind of things that are expected from the parents, like sending the children to school every day, making sure the attendance is good, ensuring that the child gets at least an hour of quiet time to do his or her homework back at home. So these little things are talked about at the orientation. Then we also started having chai pe baatcheet, which is basically literally a conversation over tea. So that's something which became very famous in the school, where we just sit with our community of parents, and it's like a support group. So we also hear from our parents what are the kind of support they need. So it's like a need analysis thing. After our conversation over tea with parents, we understood that sometimes they need basic orientation over the various schemes that the government launches for these groups. Then we also understood that it was important for their parents to firsthand see and observe the kind of education that children were receiving. So then there are also these quarterly observations that happen, where parents are invited to visit and observe the lessons in the classrooms. So when they saw firsthand their children being engaged, participating in peer learning activities, answering the question the teacher was asking, they started trusting us. So that was very crucial for the relationship we built. And apart from that, now we also hold workshops with parents, where the parents and the students are engaged together, like art workshops. When COVID happened, we hosted an awareness workshop with the parents, where we went to the community. So the community in our schools is an active part of the education the child receives. Teachers have scheduled home visits, where they decide on which 5 students to visit each month, and every second Saturday or things that they schedule it like that. So these are some.
So tell me. I mean, look, you've mentioned a lot regarding what you're doing, but tell me in terms of what do you think the innovation is?
So the innovation is ensuring that parents don't feel excluded from the school community. We are very clear. Yeah, are you going to ask something?
No, please continue, and I will ask more questions.
Yeah, so parents are an active and a very important part of the school community. The engagement with parents don't happen just once a quarter or once an academic year. Even the parent-teacher meeting which happened are very different, because instead of just sharing the report card, we invite the parents inside the school, and they showcase all the work that the child has done. The portfolios are showcased, the walls have work from the students. So these kind of things, it's very engaging. It's not just one way, but the parent-teacher meetings are also two-way. And not just the scheduled home visits and stuff, but the teacher interacts with the parents almost every day. So when the teachers are present at the classroom gate, when the parents come to drop off the children, the academic coordinator is present at the school gate every day to receive the parents and children. So these everyday interactions, plus the other interventions that I mentioned, like regular conversations over tea, classroom observations, workshops for parents, these ensure that the parents are consistently and regularly involved in the school activities.
I mean, so I asked Glenn, you hear what has been said over here, and not wanting to point a finger at all, but this whole engagement at the school gate, do you think that leads to stronger schools? What is your take, given that you run a private school?
Yeah, I can imagine this is fantastic innovation in the sense that we know from research that when parents are working in harmony with the school and are very much at one with the ethos of the school and the culture and the values of the school, that this is where students can thrive. They're not hearing mixed messages from home, but actually the parents are confirming the messages, they're supporting the messages that the school is giving out. And it's more than that. We know from some of the innovations that we've undertaken based on the behavioral sciences that actually this enriches the conversation at home.
Yeah.
So rather than the typical parent-child conversation of what did you study today, by having the inside information that we've just heard from our colleagues here in India, they can actually have much more focused conversations that really get to grips with what the students are learning.
Thank you so much. Ritu, again, I come back to you in terms of, you talked about a highly engaged format. And so can you just flesh that out a little bit more for those that are here? So what you say makes eminent sense. There's no one can ever disagree with you. But yes, parents are important partners. The fact that we have to engage, I don't think there's anything new in that. Of course we do. Of course, in your context, it may be different. Don't get me wrong. I'm not belittling your achievement. I think it's great. But tell us in terms of what is this highly engaged format that you've come up with? Because is that the secret sauce?
So the secret sauce was also keeping in mind the kind of routine the parents have. So these, like I told you, these are daily wage laborers. We couldn't pull them out of their everyday earnings to come to the school and observe lessons for a long period of time. So we had to time it like that, like early morning observations or timing it during their lunch breaks. Then one more thing that really stood out for our school was that we identified champion parents from the community. So there were parents who were not able to reach school. So what we did was, from each community, there were some very highly engaged parents who were already always available. We labeled them champion parents, and then they became our source of information for the community. In case the parents weren't able, because these are students who live in a cluster. So these are little busties outside the city. So if we had a champion parent, then in case 3 or 4 people are not able to come to the school, the information will still reach them. So these were little innovations that we had to come up with.
Great. So if anyone who is watching, I see there's 1,700 people who are participating today at this particular point in time. If you have any questions, please do put them up in the Q&A section, and I will raise them with each of the participants. But come back to you again in Lajpat Nagar in Delhi. Tell me, ultimately, what we're looking for, is what we're looking for ultimately better academic performance of these children?
Definitely. So
and do you see that?
I do, because I also had these examples from my own classroom when I was a teacher at Lajpat Nagar. There were students who I was not able to see through because I wasn't understanding the context better. Like, there was a student in my classroom who sold balloons after the school hours. So A, she was always very tired because she was out in the streets till late selling balloons. And B, she did not connect to the classroom learnings, because she was so street smart and she had that autonomy when she was out in the streets. I couldn't understand that. Only when I got to talk to the parents, I knew how to make her see value in the education she was receiving at school. So these little examples where when we understood the context better, there were interventions that we were able to have with the children, which led to not just the academic performance, but overall there was this holistic bond that we formed with the students.
Fantastic. And your school obviously was congratulated by the former Vice President of India in the process for the World's Best School Prizes. And so many congratulations to you. I now want to go to actually Abhilasha. And Abhilasha, before I come to Abhilasha, I should just say, with regards to the school in Delhi, the thing that actually came to my mind is in the community collaboration category, there's a school from Brazil who decided that the reason why they weren't getting parental engagement was that mothers in particular were not literate themselves. And so what they did was they put in place the most incredible program for parents. And what the report is, as a result of the prizes, this program is massively oversubscribed now, which has a great net effect and impact on that community. So many congratulations to you in Delhi for your program. Abhilasha, what you do in the Shining Star School is obviously very special. That's what got you shortlisted. But is it a gimmick? Is the question that I want to ask. Is gratitude as pedagogy a gimmick?
Because I would take a strong objection to that, offense to that. No. See, it was when we as a team ideated on what should we innovate on. And there were plenty of there were discussion, and we did mull over it, that whether it is assessments, or should we innovate our curriculum, or should we go ahead with social emotional learning. But we kept coming back to this point that our students during the COVID times, and this happened during the COVID, that our students are getting detached. We do not have that connect. We're missing out that connect with them. The online learning is difficult. The students, especially in the senior section, it was so difficult to get a response from them. It was so difficult for us to get them to switch on their cameras, and parents were not helping at all. Parents were, because these days for parents with this nuclear family things, the children have projects. So they go what the children want to do or how. So it was very difficult. So for us, then we decided that because UAE, our children are spoiled for choices. I call them the clickerati generation. They are digital natives, and they have everything at sort of at a whim, at a tantrum. So then we ideated that, all right, so we need our children to learn gratefulness. We need our children to be thankful for what they have. And also, we needed them to understand that they are part of the haves of the world, and therefore they must respect that, and also now start thinking about that the education that they're taking for granted, this is actually a blessing, and there are plenty of children around the world who would, they want to attend school but are not able to. So hence we then started, we kept the Castle framework of social emotional learning, and on that then we ideated, and we prepared this the gratitude manual for the teachers and the pathway. I understand that initially for us, until now also, it is an abstract concept, and it's very difficult. It's qualitative, so it's very difficult to put in data. So then again, that's what we keep doing. We keep going back to the board, because data is important. We show the impact through data. So now, from where we started and to the place where we are, we now have the wherewithals where the team together has prepared the concept and also has started showing the evidence for the impact. So definitely it is not a gimmick, but yes, it needs a lot of work. It requires a lot of work too.
So I was being playful to some degree because a lot of people, when they hear it, they think it's a gimmick. I obviously don't. You're a finalist in the World's Best School Prizes. I think you're great. But tell me, Abhilasha, make it more practical for people. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, you've ideated. Yes, you've got the Castle framework in social emotional learning. What exactly do you do?
All right. So first and foremost, the idea of to train the teachers, because the buy-in from the teachers is very important. So when we prepared the teacher manual, the best part to do was to put it in the lesson plan. And then also we realized that we also needed to have a stand-alone period to have activities where the students would then, not just practice like say a prayer every morning and morning assembly, gratefulness and all that, gratitude tree in the classrooms, gratitude jars in the class. And we started from there. We ran a pilot study with just one class initially, and we saw that, okay, this can be done. And then we implemented it for the rest of the school. So we started from just practicing gratitude messages, gratitude jars, saying thank you to the ancillary staff in the school, from the students to the teachers, from the students as children to their parents, to now having a service learning practice, where we have a calendar where the children practice an action of kindness or gratitude every day, and then note it down in the gratitude passports. So that is a daily exercise. Now, from there, we also have 3 projects in the school that the students are doing. One is with the community. That is, these projects are divided over a year in 3 terms. So the first term, they do it with the community. The second term, the project initiated in the school. This is group work, of course. So it is also about collaboration and teamwork. And the third one is they're going to do it in the third term with their parents. And then we are using an assessment tool, which is again the help has been taken from the UAE framework for moral education. And that's a beautiful assessment tool that we have. We call it BAT. And so that is there to assess what the students are doing. And this one, then the students also have, we have out of what we did in the school, we also have a happiness courier service where the children, one of the students, we again opened it to the students, and they it was a competition, so they designed a postcard for the happiness courier service, and that postcard is printed, and that is used as like a daily message in the school, and that entire postal service is practiced. But the best part is the service learning and the outreach to the community and the initiatives in the school.
Ritu, I'm going to come to you in a minute to comment on this, but tell me, Abhilasha, sounds great. Gratitude, saying thank you is a practice that everyone should have. What's the net effect on your school?
So the idea why we, one idea when I told you initially was that the sense of detachment, the sense of belonging to the school, to the parents, to the family, as a community, as a school community as a whole. But the main idea was that how do we impact students' achievements through this practice of gratitude? So the entire idea was like we based our theory on Maslow's theory of social needs, where to meet the higher needs of an individual, you first have to go through the lower needs of an individual. So that's what the entire premise was, that to be able to help our students achieve better results academically, we also need to then first let them have this the self-preservation, build resilience, build determination, self-preservation, self-efficacy. So these values, which are again tangible, non-tangibles, abstract, but very important life skills and these values for the children to have. So we have seen the impact where our Arabic results are better, our attendance is better, our punctuality has improved, and we have lesser behavioral concerns now. The vandalism and at one point the children were stuffing, I should not be saying this on an open screen, but how teenagers are, they misuse things in the school. So in the washroom we found they were playing with paper napkins and they were stuffing toilet rolls in the toilet. That has reduced a lot. Those kind of things are really reduced a lot in the school.
So I should, before I bring in Ritu for her comment on this, I should say that the three of you who are on the screen today actually would not have happened without the encouragement and support that I've had from QRTA for T4. And so Dr. Osama, Rola, Nabila, the whole team has been quite critical and fundamental in terms of just supporting everything that we do. And please know that I'm very grateful, and everyone should sign up to all the QRTA's newsletters and information. Ritu, tell us in terms of what is your comment, and is it applicable in your context?
So not exactly like a gratitude pedagogy, but yeah, like I do connect with some of the elements that Abhilasha talked about, because initially when we were also engaging parents, they did not see a relationship with child or social-emotional activity as something that was adding value to the child's learning. So then we also had to, sort of engage our parents to see that academic achievement cannot be separated from a socio-emotional connect or one-on-one relationship that we build with students. There's no either or here. Because only when the child feels safe, when the child trusts us, when the child is happy, he or she will be more receptive to everything that we are teaching at school. And in our context, especially because we're talking about a primary school, so we cater to 6-year-olds to about 11, 12-year-olds. So these are younger children. So even there, the feeling of gratitude or that connection with school, that home and school connect, that was very, very important. So I do relate with some elements that Abhilasha talked about, and in some form or other, we do sort of see that being part of our curriculum in the People Lajpat Nagar school.
So when I look at this interesting area of social emotional learning, the question I really have is, do parents care? And so either of you, I'd love a response to you from.
They do. Go ahead. I'll speak later.
Ritu?
All right. So in our context, initially they did not at all, because their parents were more concerned with if their child is being able to read or write in English. Is the child being able to do calculations in maths? That was their primary concern. They did not see how 1 hour of playtime or how these activities were helping the child learn at school. But only when they saw that, slowly, but when they saw that when the child felt safe with the teacher, when the child was able to freely tell the teacher what is the concern, why he or she is not able to comprehend the concept being taught. Even that freedom, when the child could feel that, only then the child was more receptive. The child definitely learns better with the teacher he or she connects with and trusts and sort of feels safe around. So eventually we had to conduct workshops with our parents, and now they see that, when the child comes back home, it's important to ask how the day was. It's important to connect to their school learnings in order to, see that whole community as one school community.
Fantastic. And Abhilasha, your word on this?
So we have had a lot of support from the parents. Our parents have been, in fact, they've come forward and told us that what we've initiated is wonderful. And also, because I would say that, in my case, I'm a big fan of extracurricular activities. In fact, this is a fight I constantly have with some of my teachers, managements, wherever I work, because I say that schools syllabus will get over. Curriculum is going to be transacted, but that's not the end all and be all of school. School is a place where children learn much more than just English, math, and science. So this is where some of our parents have come forward. Like even I stand at the gate every morning to greet the parents and to meet them. And that's a wonderful opportunity to welcome the parents, to see and high five to the students. And that has really helped us to build a strong parental school relationship. So there the parents, they meet me and they very openly say that we are very grateful to what you're doing in the school, because we've seen a lot of change in our children. And our service learning, especially the summer vacation tasks that we had given to the students, all those were completed because of the help of because of the support of the parents. They would not have parents. I mean, we would not have been able to achieve half the things if the parents were not with us. So again, I remain grateful to the parent community of our school.
Well, fantastic.
And
Thank you
to my teachers.
Thank you for sharing that. Glenn, now talk about the St. Helens School, and you have a particular innovation around what you call nudge for learning. And so please flesh out the idea. We have about 8, 9, 10 minutes to discuss this in greater detail, so that those that are watching can actually learn from it as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vikas. So what we've seen throughout the world is quite a very interesting development outside of the education sphere, actually. A good 20 years ago or so, researchers like Daniel Kahneman, Amos Tversky, Richard Thaler in the areas of psychology and economics came up with fascinating ideas that really went to the heart of what it means to be human and how we make our decisions and what really impacts us. And far from this idea that we are rational human beings, as we might like to think, in liberal societies and capitalist societies, actually what Kahneman and Thaler's research showed is that we are hugely influenced, often in very irrational and subconscious ways, influenced by the environment that we're in. And this has had a huge impact in lots of areas, as I mentioned, economic psychology, but also in government policy. I'll give a couple of examples so people can really get to grips with the practices of behavioral economics. So, for example, to help bring down the use of plastic carrier bags, governments throughout the world have put up a 5p charge. And just a very simple putting a 5 pence or 5 cents charge on a plastic bag has seen the use of those plastic bags drop dramatically. Just by a very simple nudge on the consumer, it gets consumers to think about, well, really, do I need this? And will this help climate change? And those sort of nudges, very, very simple, very effective nudges that can really change human behaviors. Another example is the opt-in versus opt-out. European countries, many European countries are finding it very hard, for example, to get people to opt in to donate their organs should they be in a terrible car accident. And what they found out actually was just simply change the form, have it as an opt-out form rather than an opt-in form. And so behavioral economics actually helps us to recognize that there is no such thing as neutrality. How we set up the choices before you, often very complicated choices that we may be faced with every day, could be to do with our pensions, our pay structure, whatever it may be, could have a huge impact on the way we think and the way we approach and the way we behave. And so what I wanted to do a few years ago is to bring those insights of behavioral economics into the educational sphere, into school life, because very unusually, we've seen very little impact of behavioral sciences and especially nudge theory to bear on our own students' behavior. And so really that just gives you the conceptual background to what we were trying to do in order to change what we might call the choice architecture for our own students, not just in terms of the academics, but also in terms of the pastoral care and co-curricular. And we've seen quite dramatic changes.
And so tell us in terms of what those minutiae of the nudge for learning, I mean, around your school, what is it that you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me give you an example of sort of those sort of nudges that we brought into our school in a practical way, and why we think this is absolutely can be replicated across the world, whatever your context, because we were very cognizant we are in a privileged position, and so we wanted to create a model that can be used at very little cost. So for example, as soon as I have a teacher-student setup, that creates an environment which has an incredible power imbalance. The teacher is the expert, quite correctly, they're at the front of the room, and they are in a privileged and powerful position vis-a-vis their students. And so what we did was we tried to nudge this relationship by creating a mentor-mentee type relationship, not just in the classroom, but actually creating a supervision style atmosphere that you might see at the top universities in the world. Here in the UK, Oxford and Cambridge are very famous for that supervision model. And so by having a mentoring relationship, that brings down the barriers. And it starts to create really interesting conversations between mentor and mentee. And you're no longer thinking about, am I learning to the exam? But actually, by pursuing areas of research that are of particular interest to the students that go beyond the syllabus, we start to create a model where students are learning for the sake of learning, for the joys of learning. And so as they can start to realize, and I think this very much relates to my colleagues on this platform, that we can rise above, as it were, learning just simply for exams, but really start to get not just our students, but also their families to recognize the importance of learning and what can it do for the student themselves. And we've seen wonderful results. And I have to say, through the slipstream of this method, we have seen our own exam results dramatically rise up, because if our students love their learning and they get a passion for it, well, it becomes that much easier for them to do, and they have a much greater and more harmonious relationship with their mentors than perhaps they would do with that simple student-teacher relationship.
And that mentor-mentee relationship, does it transcend? Does it apply just at the older end of your school or throughout the school?
Yeah, it's throughout the school, but it does change, it adapts. So what we feel is that, especially as students are younger, the mentor is there really to open up avenues of learning. It's to introduce them perhaps to disciplines they may never have come across. Anthropology, it could be different areas of life where they're thinking, I've never come across, this could be something that I might want to take up later on in life. But as our students develop their own areas of interest, we then provide the mentors who are experts in that field. And it's about then really digging that bit deeper in those areas and giving them access to academic research that the student perhaps themselves wouldn't be able to get hold of. So that mentor-mentor relationship can develop, but it does adapt accordingly.
So I see that the QRTA ladies are there to give me a time warning, I can see. And so friends, today what we've heard from the three schools are three very innovative practices. So in India, we hear about parental engagement. And when I say engagement, I actually mean meaningful, deep, contextual engagement, which I think is fantastic. From the UAE, we hear about gratitude as pedagogy and the social emotional learning side of it, which I think is quite powerful. And from London in the UK, we hear about motivation and nudge for learning as an innovation. And the great thing about all these three things is quite simply that regardless of whether you're in a public school, a private school, a religious school, an NGO school, you can actually apply all of these to your schools. And so that is what the World's Best School Prizes were set up for, to surface such incredible expertise from around the world so we could strengthen all schools. And I appreciate the platform that QRTA has provided today. And I thank today's speakers for their contributions. And I hand over to QRTA again. Thank you all for watching, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you, Vikas. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ritu.
شكرا أستاذ
you,
فيكاس والمتحدثين على الجلسة الرائعة. السيدات والسادة، لقد وصلنا إلى ختام منتدى أكاديمية الملكة رانيا لتدريب المعلمين لعام 2022. لقد كان بالفعل منتدى غنياً بخبرات المتحدثين وما شاركونا به من خلاصة خبراتهم وتجاربهم ومعارفهم الثرية، كما كان غنياً بحضوركم الذي أثرى فعاليات المنتدى. باسم أكاديمية الملكة رانيا لتدريب المعلمين نود أن نتقدم بخالص الشكر والامتنان لجميع المتحدثين وميسري ورشات العمل لمشاركتهم خبراتهم الغنية مع متابعي المنتدى. كما نتوجه بالشكر الجزيل لجميع شركائنا والداعمين الذين ساهموا معنا في إطلاق هذا المنتدى. والشكر الكبير موصول للجنود المجهولين زملائي من موظفي أكاديمية الملكة رانيا لتدريب المعلمين الذي عمل بلا كلل خلال الأيام الماضية. لكم جميعاً من فريق أكاديمية الملكة رانيا لتدريب المعلمين خالص التقدير والامتنان لمشاركتكم المنتدى معنا لهذا العام، على وعد اللقاء بمنتدى يستشرف كل ما هو جديد مبتكر في ميدان التربية والتعليم في العام القادم إن شاء الله. حضورنا الكرام، رأيكم ذو قيمة كبيرة وموضع اهتمام الأكاديمية، لذا يرجى من جميع متابعي فعاليات المنتدى إكمال الاستبيان الذي سيصلكم عبر بريدكم الإلكتروني. كما نؤكد على أن الجميع ستصلهم شهادة حضور عبر بريدهم الإلكتروني. دمتم بخير، حراس عقول أبنائنا وبنات مجتمع الغد، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you, Mr. Vikas and panelists, for an amazing session. We have come to the end of QRTA Forum 2022. It has been truly a great event. On behalf of Queen Rania Teacher Academy, we wish to extend our sincere thanks and appreciation to the amazing speakers, panelists, workshop facilitators, without whom this forum would not have been successful. A special thanks to the great attendees of the QRTA Forum who joined us from around the world. We hope that your experience at this forum was extraordinary and fulfilling. A special thanks to our partners, contributors, and supporters. Special thanks to the heroes behind the scenes, the great QRTA team. Your opinion is of great value. Please complete the survey that you will receive through your email. You will receive a certificate of attendance also through your email. See you all next year.